Hey, it's the Low Life Podcast.
Do you know anything about hackers? Can you jam the plots of cowboys and cyberspace? Ever read Neuromancer? Ever experienced the new wave? Next wave? Dream wave? Or cyberpunk? I didn't think so. In reality, it's a world where you can't truly say. I know what you look like. A world where curiosity and imagination.
I'd buy that for $1. Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Shut up and get in the car!
Go away, Baton.
Yep, you did it. You found us again. It's the Low Life Podcast. I'm your boy CoinOps McGillicuddy here with Shadowlink.
I'm here, I'm high, and I've got the munchies.
It sounds like it.
God damn it. Why are these packages so fucking hard to open?
They're child-proof. Wait, no.
This is Skittles, god damn it.
Skittles. We are sponsored by... No, we're not. Also, we're here with Xero.
Welcome back, enlightened listeners, once again to Taste the Madness, and thank you for letting us tickle your trembling earballs.
Yeah, there you go. I guess we just had a bunch of stuff happen. Like the day we're recording this in the morning, AT&T decided to take a shit, and a bunch of people's phones went to like SOS. And
Oh, man.
I've been doing some driving for a food delivery service lately for some extra scratch, and my map went catawampus. Yeah, it went crazy. It decided it was going to tell me to just make left turns, even though the map was telling me to go right. It was fun. And then let's see what else. I guess a company landed on the moon, but if you watch the footage or any coverage of it, they'd be like, NASA headquarters this. NASA is like, nah, it was a company. Company landed on the moon.
Private company, yeah.
Private company. Can't remember their name. Don't care. Don't want to give them any fucking air. It was just a robot. And they're having, the last I was seeing, they kept rebooting it because it wasn't sending a signal back. So it's like they know it landed, but it's not being like, oh, I'm good, guys.
So they did it a little better than Japan, I guess. Just a little better.
Yeah, it didn't bounce. You know, it's anyway. But basically, what we're going to be talking about today, though, is going to be like. So we just had the Super Bowl not that long ago, and I know that's not like, unless you check out that amazing what is that SB Sports or whatever. What is it? It was this thing called like football in the year 17,776.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's like cyberpunk shit. That's that. There you go. There's your crossover.
We'll definitely link to that. That's hilarious.
Yes, it's one of I've mentioned it on this episode before. I'm sure it's just a great way to spend an hour scrolling through something. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But while I managed to catch some of it, I think I don't know what was going on. I was busy doing something. I wasn't watching the game, and T was watching it. She watched like the halftime show and just checking it out, and I just didn't feel like watching a bunch of AI commercials this year, because I remember when they tried that with crypto and it was just trash. But this time, like it went into overtime, and the game was won in the final seconds. It was rousing for the fans of those teams and Taylor Swift. But there was I
was really excited. Then right up at the end there, I was really expecting Taylor to just consume everyone's soul and complete the apotheosis to Godhead.
Yeah. And it's really crazy how that's just not what's happening. It's also crazy to think that like Republicans have a problem with a like pretty pop star and a football player being together. Like, what do you want from us? You don't want us to be
country
gay.
are we living in?
You don't want us to
Holy
be
shit.
gay. You don't want us to be bi. You don't want us to be non-binary. But and here you have like the fucking platonic ideal of like every storybook romance, and they're like, "We're against it. It's a psyop."
See, it's a lie. It's a
But it is-
lie.
we're
But
not-
it's all a fucking lie.
It's
guys.
too American
It's a fucking
Pie.
lie.
It's entirely too on the nose for them. They need something weird. They need like Taylor to stick a finger in his butt. I don't know. Like it's just, and then not talk about it and have it to be a total secret, and then it never comes out. Anyway, one of the funnier things, and we're not going to talk about the Super Bowl, specifically, but there was one really funny thing that I noticed, and it was the end zone for the Chiefs, right above their logo on the end zone in big letters. Their logo, the Chiefs, it says "End Racism," and I'm like.
I know where you can start.
So Xero like had proposed like this before the Super Bowl, this topic, and when I had seen that, I was like, well, of course we're doing this episode. Like this is absolutely going to happen. And the topic is bread and circuses, because I can't think of like a more modern example of it than just the Super Bowl itself, the things that went on in the background, and that logo specifically having "End Racism" above it being just so tone deaf. Like, like Hitler big lie levels, where you just say something and then people just go, oh, okay, well, you're important. I'll agree with it. And, but before we get into it, we wanted to shout out our Patreons. Thank you for keeping the lights on and keeping this going.
Yes.
Shout out to our new patron. Somebody joined at the $20 level, and I was like, holy fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Big baller.
Way to come hard with it. And
We
to
love
let you, we love you all. Thank you very much. If you're listening to this, you like what we do, you want to kick us a buck, cool, do it. We got a Patreon. We also
Please.
are going to have a hard launch for Neon Dystopia this Saturday. So if you're hearing this and I haven't posted this yet, I think I'm gonna post this on Friday. We're recording this Thursday. I think I'm going to post this Friday. So if you're listening to this fresh, know that at some point during the day here, we're just going to have a big old group chat in our Discord. So come on out to our Discord and see what the fuck's going on there.
Yeah,
Saturday night. Find us in the
Saturday
Discord.
evening, night. Yeah.
It'll be a nice little. It'll be a barbecue. It'll be fine. It'll be cool.
Yeah. So
And any time of day, find us on the Patreon. Because once again, we are completely offer our services by donation. If we didn't, we would have to take on a sponsor.
yeah.
And again, taking a look here through our list of horrible sponsors. Okay, I got one here. This one's okay. So this company is Myland. Myland.
Myland.
Capital M, little I, capital L, AND. Myland. Okay.
Is that Michigan?
I don't
I'm
know.
like this part of the mitten.
I mean, I will be interested if it has to do with Michigan. I do like Michigan.
Well, here we go. Why settle for a used island when you can connect to a marketplace of brand new, custom-made islands outfitted to your specific needs?
I'm going to go for a walk.
Myland is an app that specializes in catering to the needs of the island-seeking elites. From basic bunker survival islands to clandestine child sex islands to human hunting preserve, they say no man is an island, but now any man has an island with Myland.
Man, yeah, please keep the donations coming.
Please
God.
find us on the
Yeah.
Patreon.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
Oh, speaking of bunkers, did you see there are some people who are going to put flammable moats around them?
Yeah, I think I saw that article. It's literally oh God.
Xero, I think he said something like, hey, it's meet your maker in
Meet your maker.
IRL.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so don't let them influence us, please. Not like they could. It'd be oh man, I just my rider wouldn't have been as nice as Mojo Nixon's RIP. Anywho, so yeah, bread and circuses, Xero. What are they?
Well, this is for me personally, the concept of bread and circuses. I came to this kind of in college. I was studying art history. I was studying a lot about the Roman Empire. Basically, art history is the study of propaganda of bygone eras. And as I was also, learning about the world and how things work, I'm constantly, I think I've mentioned this before in the podcast, looking for things that make it make sense to me. The world.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. We forgot to mention Scum is sick. What assholes!
God damn it! Ugh.
We are such assholes. Yeah, you probably will have noticed that Scum is not with us. Yeah, he's sick as shit.
In my notes, sorry.
That's not in your notes. Oh fuck! I didn't write it down either. We just talked to him right a few minutes ago. Anyway. So I'm sorry. You were in college. You had been studying art history and
art
bread
history,
and circuses,
Roman Empire, bread and circuses. And it helped me to understand how, the horrors that are going on in the world today. And this was 2006, 2007 when I graduated. I don't remember. Mm-hmm. How can these persist? Am I the only one that notices this stuff? These sort of feelings that you have in college. I guess some of us do. Yeah. And, the concept of bread and circus, that as long as there is, basically for me, the idea is that as long as there is cheap enough food and enough distractions, the government can do basically whatever it wants and run everything into the ground. And that's, more or less the 5-cent version of what happened with Rome. Mm-hmm. So for me, that made a lot of sense. I was like, as long as we have, cheap food to eat, as long as we have McDonald's, as long as we have sport ball, fill in your, shape and and point, that things would just keep rolling along kind of the way they do. And it seems to be the case. It seems to still work. I'm not a big sports head. You might be surprised to learn. Mm-hmm. If sports are your thing, fine. I understand they're quite popular with a lot of people. Yeah. But the problem for me is when sport becomes spectacle. When spectacle is, when the sport becomes a spectacle, it's an illusion that placates the people into accepting, the conditions and the aims of whatever the pervading system is.
Yeah, there's a huge difference in vibe between a, say, minor league baseball game and like a major league baseball game. There's just a huge difference.
Absolutely.
These people are getting paid dog shit to, basically, hit a ball with a stick and catch it and throw it. But like, they want to be there. You could tell it. They're not getting paid millions and millions and millions of fucking dollars to be there. Sports movies have always been about, like, say, Major League, for example, or Slapshot. It's always been about the minors, like the people that really love it. Even Shorzy really gets into it
for the enjoyment of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because let's be real. I get what you're saying. Sports and games are fun, whether it's like tabletop RPGs or just playing horse. Mm-hmm. Where you just pick a spot and take a shot and you make it, and then the person has to take a shot from that spot. It's fun to play games. It's fun to be like active and physical and stuff like that. But like the artifice that comes up around it, when it starts to get, like you're going to say, they just start tacking things onto this thing that you already love. And that's when it gets to be problematic, like a little bit.
It's been intentional to utilize it as spectacle. I mean, as early as, like the teens in the 20s in America, baseball saw a huge huge surge in popularity. Part of that was we had disposable hours in the day to dedicate to something fun like baseball. Mm-hmm. And another part of that was they didn't want people organizing in union halls. So they kind of really pushed that in the papers and just everywhere they could to be like, let's have something else to distract us from what else is going on.
Right. Yeah.
And in like doing some of the research for this episode, I wanted to see like, okay, well, how's this, subject being spoken about today? What sort of things are going on with this today? And basically across the board, what I found when you search for bread and circuses in Google and YouTube, the usual places, you're finding a lot of right-wing shills kind of like glomming onto this idea of bread and circuses as like the reason that Rome died was because they gave everybody free food and they taxed everybody too much. And wow. That just doesn't seem to jive with what I remember reading.
Yeah, that sounds like revisionist history a little bit
of the empire. But
there were a lot of fucking reasons, a lot of reasons.
So there's a lot of fundies. A lot of people kind of like
a fun one is moral depravity. That's what I'm familiar with. That's
that one's in there too.
Mm-hmm. I saw Caligula, the documentary.
What's eroding the empire. But yeah, just like the kind of people that are glomming onto this now. First of all, they're selling a lot of supplements and selling a lot of silver. And also just like kind of railing against like the dangers of what's going to happen if we get UBI and if we actually start taxing the rich what they should be taxed.
Oh, walkable cities is the path to hell. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, cars were a great idea.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a rabbit hole, but I kind of pumped the brakes on that. I wasn't going to kind of buy into that madness the way they want you to.
I could speak on that for a second. Like that goes way the fuck back. I mean, even Art Bell days, there would occasionally be jokingly like a mention that like, oh yeah, well, like this sporting event happened to cover up this like atrocity or something like that. Or this team won this game, and if you add these numbers up, you get this shit. They were doing that whole fake numerology crap. What do they call it? There's a name for it now, which like legitimizes it somehow in a really shitty way. Where people really take it seriously. You add up the letters, and then they're just numbers, and then you add the numbers up, and then the numbers
Listen,
are
you can
666 every time. You know,
and you can always find a pattern
numerology
wherever you look.
No, it's not numerology. There's another. It's called like, oh god, like it's not Matroika. I can't fucking remember. There's a listener out there right now losing their mind because they know exactly.
Are you talking about Sudoku?
Not Sudoku. No. But it's close. No, it's. I can't fucking remember. It's. I'll look it up while we're talking. Yeah. But like, there's always been that. Anybody they don't like. I mean, going back to the fucking 9/11. Like there was this whole. I mean, there were conspiracies, and then there were like things that actually happened. Like I remember, like by 9/13, basically, Clear Channel was like, "These are songs you can no longer play on the radio," and it's like,
yeah,
you could play like fucking Bruce Springsteen. You couldn't play like Rage Against the Machine. You couldn't play like certain Fleetwood Mac songs. You know what I mean? Like it got really, really fucking weird for a minute.
Yeah. And
then suddenly it was nothing but like everyone hated the Dixie Chicks, now the Chicks. And what the fuck is this thing called? You don't understand. This is bothering me because there's like a word for it.
It's not Kabbalah.
No. This is trouble. I'm killing time. I hate this.
Drink your Ovaltine?
No. I just typed in QAnon number thing, and it's not coming up. It's not just QAnon. It's like code messaging. They have a fucking. There's a word for it. They've come up for like, and that has its roots in the fucking like the New Age scene, like that was like really big in like the 70s through the 90s and stuff. Like there was a lot of this not quite numerology thing where like, well, if you take this and you invert this, it's not even that far off from Grant Morrison's, chaos magic, where you write the thing on a piece of paper and tear it up and then I guess set it on fire or jerk off on it. I'm not sure how it's supposed to work, but these QAnon folks do this stuff now. Like there's always, they need something. They need to bake things and turn them into like something bigger than what it is. Instead of it's just like, oh yeah, something's not working. A government agency is functioning poorly. Yeah. We haven't actually come up with a solution to this problem yet. No, there's a giant cabal.
Because why solve anything really?
Anyhow,
problems.
So if you take the numbers from the backs of the jerseys
it's a feature
of the defensive lineup. In the second quarter, no, I'm making it up.
Anyhow,
did I just say the loud part loud? But yeah, I mean, digging through a lot of this stuff when I am putting on my big boy pants and trying to be serious about it. If I'm researching this, I'm looking at bread and circuses as like things that are used to distract us. If you break it down and if you translate bread and circuses really to sustenance and spectacle, there actually is a lot of stuff that is relevant today that is going on right now. And the grown up triple word score term for it is aid washing and sports washing, basically.
Yep. And it's called gematria.
Gematria.
Yeah, it's the practice of assigning a numerical value to a name, word, or phrase by reading it as a number, or sometimes by using an alphanumerical cipher. The letters of the alphabets involved have standard numerical values, but a word can yield several, values if a cipher is used. And it goes back to like Aristotle, and I'm not going to get into this anymore. But it's basically what it is it's a thing that people have misunderstood, and now they're using it to their own end.
I think Gematria is also a small country in sub-Saharan Africa.
I think it was where the New Mutants went back in the Chris Claremont. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but again, there's a ton of this going on right now. A lot of it's really pertinent stuff that I'm sure you've read bits or pieces of in the news. One of those recent ones is there was this Twitter thing. The head of the USAID, went on Twitter and was really complaining about aid shipments that are being held up because Houthi rebel attacks are stopping shipments in the Red Sea. I think we talked a little bit about the Houthis before, and kind of when we were talking about Gaza. Mm-hmm. And then some independent journalist kind of calls out, she's like, yeah, do you know what else is being stopped? All the munitions that are being sent into Egypt. And, you guys are complaining about aid not getting through. You're really just kind of making everybody feel better, putting a Band-Aid on the situation, which is that we're sending tons and tons of munitions to Gaza. Mm-hmm. So that's one right there, trying to aid wash a little bit. And USAID has a really checkered history going back for many, many of our conflicts across the globe. Without speaking too much about that, there's a lot of others going on, kind of even more pertinent. And this is, both state actors and corporations, too, that use aid washing to kind of change their image. I think we read, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast here, but I'm sure people read a couple months ago when this stuff popped, 3 years now ago, when the hostilities popped off in Ukraine. Palantir offered their services to the World Food Program to help coordinate aid coming into these areas and refugees being served in these areas. And if you dig into it, there's like all kinds of safeguards, and like Palantir, the company, is just providing the software to the World Food Program, and they don't have access to the data, but on the servers, it's kind of like, sure, they don't have access to the data that they are sitting on.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So that's one there.
Big
and then
link.
Again, in the same theater of operations in Ukraine, Clearview AI has offered their services to Ukraine for facial recognition, security, internal security, and also to, first of all, to, obviously identify their own citizens, but they can also identify, purportedly Russian agents. And then a big part of it, too, is cataloging Russian dead, like to figure out who these people are as many times as they can. But again, it's the sort of thing where Clearview AI is just providing the technology, and they're not, really messing with the data. And
I feel like we talked shit about them specifically on an earlier episode.
Over again. Yeah, exactly.
Palantir?
Well, definitely, but Clearview.
Oh, right.
And then I don't know if anybody remembers this one. This is like from a while ago, and I had totally forgotten about this, but if you remember back in the early days of the crypto craze, like Facebook tried to like promote a cryptocurrency called Libra, and they changed the name to Diem.
Well, wait, I don't. I don't remember that.
Right? Exactly.
I'm pure.
No, this isn't the first. Yeah, Meta isn't the metaverse isn't the first thing. The first ball that he missed.
So many fucking grifts.
Connect on. But yeah, this was with Mercy Corps, which is again an aid organization, and part of the pitch for this was like, oh well, people, it's banking for the bankless. It's cash that we can send directly into the hands of people that need it. And it fell flat again with a lot of the grifts that Mark seems to be like almost.
Don't you love it when they just rationalize their bullshit?
They oversell everything.
Get done, but doesn't.
This is the solution to everything.
Get it done.
This is the everything app. This device, it only needs to kind of look at you side-eyed to know whether or not you have an incurable disease. Hey
kid, want to buy some snake oil?
It's
pretty much right.
That's it. My God.
And then the other big one that kind of we all were party to or witness to was Musk definitely got a lot of cred on the world stage for providing Starlink for Ukraine, even though when it comes down to it, he kind of screwed them on trying to use it.
Yeah, right when they needed it most, he's like, I'm going to turn it off for a couple hours. And then this like big Russian fucking thing happened.
God damn it.
Yeah, it was more or less like that. They needed it for an attack. He wouldn't let them use it. It would have been a lot more successful had they been able to use it. Anyway, but it's the kind of thing where, again, he's providing this technology and getting like the benefit of looking like a good guy, aid washing. And again, that's the bread part of it.
That's a hobby of his. He tried sending that the kids that were stuck in the fucking cave, and he was like, "I'm going to send a submarine, and I'm also going to call the guy that's actually going to save their life a pedophile."
Yep,
he's such a piece of shit. He did the same thing. He said he was going to send. He sent fucking CPAP machines to like people during the fucking plague, which is the worst thing that you could send people for a plague that's airborne. And it's like that's not how you fix this.
Well, it's because they just didn't do any research.
He said he was going to do something. He was going to send water filters to Flint, Michigan. Update. No. Nah.
Oh, man.
Didn't happen. He's such a fucking...
So again, then the other part of that is the circus, the spectacle, and that is sports washing.
He's not good. He's not good at his shit. He doesn't know how to sell his shit.
I'm increasingly starting to think that none of them.
How does he have so much money?
Well, that's the con.
Yeah,
he doesn't. First of all,
exactly.
It's kind of like what we're finding out with Trump. Like he's getting hit with these like 300 million and stuff like that. And now, like some people are saying, he's only valued like he
never had value.
Well, he was never a billionaire.
Yeah,
but like they're saying now, he might only be liquid to the tune of maybe 40, and a lot of that's tied up in properties.
No, they're going to start selling his shit. They said.
Oh no, it's happening. He already did sell one thing at 10 times its value just to keep the fucking like. It's still not enough.
It was a grift sale, yeah. Lifeline sale.
But all these like that. Well, that's the idea. Like when I was a kid, I heard con man, and I was just like, con means bad, and that was it. Like I never. And then I heard the term confidence man, and I was just like, well, why is that a bad thing? You want to have a buddy telling you that like you're doing okay, and then you find out that what it is, especially if you've ever been to like a fucking Amway meeting, is that, the idea is to get you to feel like, yeah, man, you could do this. This shit's easy, man. Like, fuck, yeah, you could do this shit. And then leave you holding the bag.
Yep.
They get you to buy in and then leave you holding the bag. That's what's happening with all this crypto and the NFT shit right now. It's just this like people kind of trying to find out a new way to find new words to put together to repackage this shit ball that they don't even really have.
Yeah.
And to get you to buy it from.
I don't know. I'm like, you say pyramid scheme. I hear tiered marketing opportunity. It's just it's all
multi-level marketing. Yeah, it's just. But that's it. That's how it's always worked. That's always been the game. Is to get you to feel like you can do this thing too, and then to just have your ass handed to you.
All this shit is like fucking. It's new updates of the same old tricks. And
look at the Cybertruck. Look at it.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Oh god.
Oh, somebody water tested it today. Not to diverge.
And not to say that I don't engage in my own little. Obviously, part of being a fucking punk, I guess, in the first place is I get my kicks out. Like I get my circus out of watching everybody else's circus and making fun of them. So
circus one level removed.
Yeah,
you did
the
mention
meta circus is what it is.
Ayo.
I fucking hate. God, I hate that they ruined that word. Oh god.
You mentioned somebody.
It was a good word.
Tested the Cybertruck as a. Did it serve as a boat for a short time?
I can't remember. It's called like Wade mode or something. But basically, what it does is it pushes like the hydraulics, like your shocks and everything, all the way up as high as you can go, and then you're supposed to get through it, and it didn't like fill up with water or anything, but like a bunch of shit started falling off of it. And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to go and scrub that thing down because apparently sneezing on it will corrode this stainless steel that doesn't need a clear coat.
I guess it's water soluble too. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, it's a proprietary fucking stainless steel that we made ourselves. So we just, it's probably not stainless steel, but they just call it that because words don't mean anything anymore.
Curious.
You know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if they tried their hardest, because that's how the world fucking works anymore. Everybody cons their way into important positions, and
it's just all scams all the way up.
Man.
Yeah, you want to be in management, man. You don't want to. That's where the money is, man.
And sociopaths.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of scams,
yep.
The other side of that equation is the circus, is the spectacle, and one of the greatest offenders, we've talked about it here before, is the Olympics.
Oh, absolutely.
In recent memories, sports washing for the Olympics. I think the most egregious thing I remember was the entire shantytowns being bulldozed for the 2016 Olympics in Brazil.
Yep.
And they got left with, every country, they're always left with debt, inequality, high maintenance buildings, and increased militarization for their population.
Oh yeah.
And we saw it in Brazil in 2016, and we're seeing the beginnings of it right now in LA too. The way they're cracking down on the homeless population.
They leave behind entire fucking
rotted structures.
Yeah, useless buildings.
Yeah,
one use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fucking wasteful. It's
single serving friends, man.
Yeah. We're going to be channeling a lot of Fight Club in this episode, I think. Because that's circuses.
On the brain.
Bread and circuses for you.
Mm-hmm. And then also, if you look towards the Middle East, we see a lot of really bad sports washing going on. You remember 2022 World Cup, Qatar. First of all these organizations we're going to talk about, PGA, FIFA, NFL, they're all cartels to worst extents, depending on who you're talking about. But it became quite clear in the controversy surrounding the Qatar World Cup that they pretty much just bought it the same way the Russians kind of bought the Sochi Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's just kind of like they want to put this foot forward as a destination for sports, that they're on the world stage now. They want to be taken seriously by everybody, but they still don't want to pay workers proper wages, and they still are pretty attracted to slave labor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of across the board for most of the countries in the Middle East that are trying to do this. Saudi Arabia right now is doing the same thing. They were trying to start up a golf league, LIV golf league, to rival the PGA. The PGA decided that if you can't beat them, join them. So now they're in a partnership with the PGA.
I know.
They were
that is like that's such a. It's like the golfest thing that ever golfed.
Yeah. No, we'll just pair up.
It wasn't even a fucking fight. It was literally like 8 months.
Yeah.
And they were like,
They were going around poaching golfers, and I think they got Phil Mickelson. I don't know golf.
Oh yeah, no, they got pros.
But then it's not like some weren't. Like Tiger Woods apparently turned down a $700 million contract.
Well, he's good.
And when the PGA realized what was going on, they were just like, we're not going to fight. We're just going to join them. So now Saudi Arabia is again kind of like bolstering their image with the PGA and with this higher like global stage of competition in sport.
Well, they've been having those WWE like events over there.
Yeah, and they're doing the same with Premier League soccer. They're buying up tons of soccer players. And again, just in an attempt to make themselves look like they're not run by a dictator who chops up journalists.
Yeah.
But that didn't work so well for Russia back at with the Sochi Olympics either. So I don't know.
I like this. Peter Thiel's got the right idea. He wants to give them as many steroids as they want, and just have his own like separate Olympics full of people just like superhumans on fucking steroids who live to be like 17.
Well, this is how we get to rollerball, guys.
Doesn't sound worse than what they got going on now.
I mean, we already have roller derby, which is the shit, and you should go see as much as possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there's no way that roller derby isn't like the best sport in America. Period. Sorry. Deal with it. I've only ever seen one, and it was the best. And it was on a flat rink. It wasn't even like one of the curved rinks, and it was still like just baller as fuck.
Brutal.
Yeah, it was great. It was really good.
I had a couple friends who used to skate. I had a friend who was a ref at the DC League. Yeah, it's no shit. It's a great spectator sport.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's really good. There's like an element of wrestling to it, in that there's like theatrics and everyone has like cool names.
Yeah, the team is Scare Force One.
Oh, that's dope. I love it. It's so good. Anyhow, but getting back to it, yeah, no, all of this stuff. You're right.
It's the punkish sport. That's what I have to say about it. Sorry, my mouth was full.
It's all good. Oh man, but yeah, no. Like we've seen like the fuckery with FIFA has been this like major, like just the corruption, the amount of like, which of course. I mean, I'm not like the corruption of FIFA. It's more like, no, we know, but now we're starting to see how it looks and where it's coming from and who's involved and who's getting like killed because of it.
And I mean, you know, it's just, it's not like these countries expect people to just forget what they've done, but this sort of activity builds a base for them to kind of enter the world stage, and people who don't follow what's going on and kind of more just follow sports, which is increasingly, I feel, I don't want to say it's more and more people across the world, but there's still definitely a lot of people that would rather tune out and just watch sports and not think about bigger things that are going on. And
well, now that we've just given up on sports betting,
yeah, that's totally cool now, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. You could just get an app and just put your life savings in the hands of a man playing a boy's game.
Yeah, I thought that gambling outside of like designated areas was supposed to be illegal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I put a pretty big bet on Taylor becoming a goddess, and it didn't happen. So underwater bummer on that.
Mm-hmm. Man, imagine if she did a duet with Beyonce, it'd be the end of the fucking world.
No, what gives me hope, partially one of the things that gives me hope is I feel like it kind of used to be when you were a kid that you kind of had to be into sports. And I feel like the last two generations or so that came up didn't feel that way. So sports as a whole, I feel has maybe less of a draw. And they are saying that
maybe if you were from the city, but in rural areas, sports is still very important.
Well, I can tease something that's going to come up in a later episode. Henry Ford hated that shit. And he hated drinking. And like stuff like that. But what he tried to do was like wherever he put up his like towns in Michigan, when he had those two huge mega factories up in there, in the company towns and stuff like that, he was like, "Yep, mandatory square dancing,
line dance, babies."
You know, it's always something though. It's always like, well, if they're doing square dancing, then they can't be philandering, they can't be betting and gambling.
Idle hands are the devil's plaything, CoinOps.
One of the more fucked up things about Henry Ford is that he really wanted his like employees to be financially, like fiscally responsible. And so he would like send people and ask them questions about like, what do you spend your money on? Who lives in this house with you? Do you drink? Do you gamble? Like, and they would come to their house like 4 fucking times, just like badger these people, like, and ask them, like,
check the answers,
because he wanted them to save money. Like, what the fuck, man? Anyway, sorry, not to get off on this, but like, it's true. Like, there's always been like, that's one of the most direct examples. Like Henry Ford trying to make people fucking square dance, like forcing it. It's like forcing people to fucking play like community, whatever.
Because mandatory fun is the best kind of fun.
Absolutely.
State mandated, company mandated fun.
Yeah, I never liked anything more than fucking dodgeball day at school.
Yep.
And things that I am reading are saying that attendance and viewership of bigger sporting events are down, which kind of doesn't surprise me when the average Super Bowl ticket was something like $11,000.
It was a resale.
Resale value.
Still up there.
But yeah, I mean, it's something we're constantly going to have to watch out for. And you'll notice, too, that anytime politics, like, obviously steps its foot into the sporting arena, like with athletes taking a knee, there's a huge backlash where people start to say, oh, we don't want politics in our sports. We don't want politics in our sports.
They don't want reality infringing upon
we don't want politics in our Star Wars.
However, they don't bat an eye when
they don't even want to see, like,
the injuries that people receive.
They don't bat an eye when they
damage that does to people.
Are asking everybody to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance and have the ROTC march and have the jets fly over. That's all politics too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else is it? Yeah, you're putting warplanes over the stadium. It's literally the ultimate expression of politics.
I mean, the theme song
Americans can feel a lot of pride.
Rock song for, I feel like, my whole life.
And it has an unsingable note for most people. Isn't that great?
It's really ironic. Americans can feel a lot of pride when those jets roll over, but just about everywhere else in the world, it's not such a great sound.
Go to a fucking air show. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God. If you want to talk about fucking circuses, oh man, country music is God. Oh.
Sure. Well, I mean, some of it.
No, just listening to nowadays after
even now, there's actual outlaw country still happening. You still have Sturgill Simpson. You still have Paul Calvin. You still have
I'm talking about stadium country. I'm talking about
I know what you mean. You're talking about that 10-gallon rock shit.
Yeah, that sold out. The only stuff that you will hear on
the country radio station.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
or if you're working at a gas station.
Outlaw country
for 6 months. Oh God, I fucking hated it. Oh, it was the worst. It was it was needles in my ears.
So one time when I was a waiter, I was waiting on some people from a local country station, and I was just doing my waiter thing, and they were like, "Hey, would you like to come down and see the station?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be fucking cool. I've never seen the inside of a radio station before. That'd be great." So I arranged for it the next day, but the next day I had pink eye. And so I roll into this thing and I was like, I get this fucking oozing gross ass, swollen shut eye. And I was just like, I'm not going to touch anything. And they just wanted to get me the fuck out of there. But they showed me everything. I was like, yeah. So where's the turntables and shit? Where are your cassettes or whatever the fuck your CDs, where are you doing it? And they showed me this room. It was glass, 2 windows on 2 sides. And then the back wall had this big, like a revolver of cartridges. And there was 50 cartridges in it. And they all had shows recorded for them ahead of time that they would just put in. And when it was done, it would play an overlap where it could start the second one and the whole thing would ka-chunk over. And these tapes were an hour long or 3 hours long or whatever. So it was just automated. No one was at the fucking mic. They would throw it live and then they would be able to cut into the tape, and that was it. But they almost never needed anybody there. And this was in the fucking 90s, things were this automated then to the point where you didn't even need a human being WKRP in Cincinnati-ing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't and that's
worse now.
It's when you are living underneath that typical American life illusion, you fail to see, I had been for a while, you fail to see the effect that technology has on people.
Or even just how your media is presented to you. Yeah. We have this algorithm thing going on.
I feel like there were so many myths about what kind of jobs were still available.
The
mid 2000s.
You could still do the DJ thing. There were still indie stations, college stations, and stuff like that. Yeah. But to have AOR was done.
It out, and if you are not.
No, that's when I knew AOR was dead. Because we used to have a big station, and you would get a DJ. He was a personality, or she was a personality, and they would sit in that booth for fucking 3-4 hours from 10 till 2 in the morning, and they would play the whole ass side of Dark Side of the Moon, because it suited them, and also because they needed time to go outside and smoke a couple joints.
Yeah. We had a lot of great stations here in the DC area. One of the biggest ones,
I bet,
WHFS with alternative modern rock. Great music when I was in high school, but they also put on these massive festivals every year, giant HF festival with all the bands. It was like a Lollapalooza clone basically, but for the DC area. And they just sold.
Yeah.
One day they just weren't broadcasting anymore. They didn't tell anybody.
Yeah. And it's that's why radio, when they talk about radio being dead, it's one of those things that I only ever turn it on in my car when I'm having a weird glitch trying to pair my phone to the car.
Yeah,
and I got to turn that on to make sure the volume works, and then I can go back to
radio. Typical radio. I mean, I there have been very few radio stations I've ever come across that have played particularly interesting music.
Yeah, we have 107.9 the end up that way.
Yeah.
They came out of Cleveland and they played like your alternative stuff for a real long time, and then at night they would have techno shows.
Yeah.
It was dope.
Yeah, and now like there are so many ads interspersed between the hair metal songs. And
well, and that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what the algorithm is at this point. And that's why you're seeing all these albums coming out from people that have like these minute and 30-second songs and shit. It's the fucking 30s again.
It's impossible to discover something new on radio anymore.
Well, yeah, no, that's a
unless it's unless it's like the
well, the best you can do
popular pop songs.
The best you can do is what I learned when I worked in a record store is when you get something, try to find out some information on it, who produced it, what labels it on, because that's the way. The algorithm's going to show you stuff, you know what I mean? But word of mouth has always worked best for me. Fuck, man. I got into Arca because like a host of a podcast I mentioned them, and I've blew my mind. That's all I've been it's 15% of what I listen to is stuff.
Actually, that's not really how I can't really take recommendations very often. Like I want to like look into everything that everybody recommends to me, but I only have so much processing power.
Well, yeah, same. And I'm also DJ brained. Like a lot of me listening to this stuff is like, where can I put this in a set?
I find the way that I discover things is through self-explorations. And that's it. Hyperlinks, man. Hyperlinks. Just all over the place.
You're absolutely right about that, though. You know, it's when I in high school in '96, when I found out Trent Reznor had a Nothing record label, I was like, okay, I know where I'm buying. I know where I'm buying my next music from. Anything this guy touches, I'm going to check it out.
And they released one of the best Populated Self albums. Period.
Yeah, that's how I found Populated Stuff. It was the very first one that I bought, and I was like, okay, this equation makes sense.
Yeah, labels are big. I mean, fuck, Nova Mute still gathers a ton of cool shit. There's some stuff on Mute that's really good.
And then like you take a look at your track list and you realize, my favorite DJs all buy from the same 4 record labels. Like,
right?
Those names down.
I had my Summer of Skint, and it was just like all of these like Stand Warriors remixes and shit. Like, just
I can't do that. I don't know if that's a generational thing, but I don't know. We didn't have that so much. It was more about like just seeking things out through the internet for me. That's how I discovered things usually.
Well, we didn't have Shazam.
Hang on. Sorry. Hang on.
Yeah.
Sorry. You guys, you hearing that?
Is that a lot of sirens?
Another
helicopters, man. Like 2 or 3 of them at least. Yeah, sorry. We have been having a lot of increased helicopter activity here in the nation's capital.
Yeah, the nation's capital's getting spicy, guys. Nothing's happening, but it's like, weird.
Check the Pentagon Dominoes. How many orders does the Pentagon Dominoes have?
Oh yeah, that's the fun thing about driving for this food delivery service is that I get to see the heat map as it affects, because they pay you extra if it's like a super dense time and stuff. So sometimes I've had to pick something up in like Falls Church right up the street here and then go like down to. Let me explain something to you about Pentagon City. I lived in Ohio for 28 years. We would have like the full range of seasons that would destroy our roads. You'd have the hot, cold. You'd have the real whiplash, real warm days that would just warp the fucking concrete and then it'd freeze again.
I've been experiencing that.
Right?
A lot now.
Looks like they just
in the past like 2 weeks.
They just chaw up sections of these little streets where there's nowhere to park, and then they just leave the rubble there for you to drive over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not even. I'm afraid of that thing. You know what I mean? What the fuck are you doing? Anyway, I'm sorry.
Coming from Wisconsin,
oh yeah,
they had to patch up the roads. They have to patch up the roads all the time, and it's still dog shit sometimes. A lot of the time.
I remember driving to Detroit in 2000, and it was like they hadn't finished the freeway. You know, like it was like they just hadn't finished it. There was like it was like planks. It wasn't solid asphalt. It was like concrete block with a little space. So you were just like for like 40 miles driving up.
Easier on the horses' hooves and the carriages, buddy.
It didn't even have like a shoulder. It was like, oh, I don't know. I might be misremembering this. It's been 20 some years, but fucking, I remember that just being, it was like a drone. That's when it was like when I was really into ambient music. That's a bad thing to have when you're like, you have this really nice rhythmic kind of buzzing sort of like the softest bumps, those things that make noise on the side of the road.
Oh, like when you go over a bridge.
Right.
Yeah, but for like 40 miles. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Bread and circuses don't need them. I have that.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like bring it back around again to, Super Bowl and distraction and America. When I was doing the research for this, I came across a paper, and we'll link to all this stuff in the Discord in our superliminal messaging thread. But I found this paper, Spoil Sport, Political Training and Distraction on the Field and in the Stands. And I was just going to read a little piece from it because I thought it was pretty interesting the way they reference. They kind of make a really great comparison here of stadium as panopticon.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and read that real quick. It's pretty neat to digest. Another tool employed to train the behavior and thinking of citizens in the sports industry is the stadium. Through the range of seats and ticket prices offered, stadiums also reinforce citizens' social class. Mm-hmm. The privileged and the less fortunate are separated in a very visual way. Yeah. Everyone is made aware of their place in society by the color and amount of cushion on their seat. In addition to this, an eerie comparison can be made between sports stadiums and Foucault's description of the panopticon.
Hell yeah.
They go on to describe the panopticon. I'll go ahead and, I think most of our listeners probably know. They're smarter than I am. Design consists of a supervisor located in a tower in the center, while periphery building is divided into cells which surround the tower. An average sports stadium has a similar design, spectators' seats in a circular arrangement facing the middle. In the case of the modern sports stadium, the infamous Jumbotron serves as the central panopticon tower. In both designs, the spectators and inmates are never sure if they are being observed, which regulates behavior. This is also the case in a stadium where everyone is simultaneously watching each other while wondering if they are being watched themselves. Each inmate is perfectly individualized and constantly visible in a certain sense. This concept applies to the players on the field as well. Since visibility is a trap, one must obey the social order. They must act normal according to the protocol of the particular sporting event. At a Yankees game, one never knows if their face will appear on the big screen. When this does happen, the perpetrators try to act appropriately, whatever that means to them during the particular moment. This induces the spectators and the players a state of conscious and permanent visibility that assures the automatic functioning of power. Constant, unverifiable visibility, coupled with the presence of armed guards, also known as umpires and referees, or in the case of most sporting stadiums, actual cops, even further solidifies the comparison between two seemingly very different spaces.
Oh.
And having gone to a high school and been like a wimpy kid, it's not that different.
Yeah,
you just made the kiss cam suck even more,
right? But that's what it is, though. You think about it, and especially when it homes on two people that obviously do not want to be sitting next to each other, let alone like
that really illustrates the fucking trap of this society, the society that we live in. Because
it's the same thing with like cops can't solve every crime, and they don't. It's just their presence prevents people from doing shit.
Yeah,
ostensibly.
Yeah. I mean,
you look at like classic dystopias and you see like the drab brutalist versions and you wonder how that could ever come about sometimes. I mean, it's here because it's like, it's this shit. It's all got a candy coating. It's Dead Man Wonderland.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. Back in the day, I went to a lot of Cleveland games. And they had the baseball and the football in the same stadium. It was this old, like they were going to have the Olympics in Cleveland, and the way you did that was you start building the stadium first, and then you're like, hey, you should have the fucking Olympics here, and they were like, nah.
And while you're at it, let's build a monorail to get there.
Yeah, but they only made like 3/4 of it. Like the one end, wasn't done. But you would go to this thing, and it was there was never a good seat. If you had the cheap seats, you had a beam in front of you. There was like 3% of the field was always missing. No matter where you sat. So when they built a new stadium, the Jacobs Field, they kept playing football there. And Jacobs Field is a marvel of fucking engineering. It's like, honest to God, we took a tour of the place. They have like underground batting cages for the team to warm up in before the game and stuff like that. And they said something like the outfield, they could play in a fucking monsoon because the outfield will drain something like 4 billion gajillion fucking gallons per minute or something like that.
That's
and I was just
sinister as fuck, man.
It is. No, it is. But it's aesthetically pleasing. There's no fucking beams in front of anyone anymore. They actually address that in, the way they balanced out like the structure and stuff like that. And like from an architectural standpoint, yeah, these things are impressive. Like even it'll get you. Like if you go to one, there's the spectacle of it and the sound of it. Yeah. And all of these people are here to enjoy like one thing simultaneously, and it's a communal thing that you can get fucking roped into, and you don't want to be that dickhead that's like, yeah, this sucks when you're there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Trust me, I know exactly what you mean.
I mean, you know what? And honestly, God, I've been to a few games that are a lot of fun, but it wasn't like it's not. Like I don't try to go. Yeah. It was like, we had some tickets. Exactly. I went to a Nats game. It was the day that all the kids from camp were there. And it's like being in our 40s, and then all these kids who just fucking love baseball. And the best part about it was like one of the camp counselors in front of us made a bet with one of the kids where they're talking shit to each other. And they were like, yo, man, the Mets are going to beat the fucking Nats. And the camp counselor's like, oh, yeah? Well, what are you going to do if they lose? And he's like, 100 push-ups. And son of a bitch, that little kid lost. When we left the stadium, he was winning. And then like as we were like leaving the parking and stuff like that, we heard like this dude just tee off, and they scored like 5 runs and they fucking won the game. And I was like, oh, that poor little bastard's gonna have to do 100 fucking push-ups. But like I get it. That's what's appealing about it. Yeah. It is. I mean, look, on the other side of that, that's why I like going to like a rave. Because it was like some broken into building with a bunch of strangers, and it was dark and no one had cameras.
Yeah.
And that just, the song never ended. It just turned into another one, and it kept going. Back when like DJs actually mixed into each other. Yeah. And it was just like.
And the dance floor was thick and people was moving.
Right. Yeah. And God is a DJ and all that. I mean, it was fucking fantastic. But like, there isn't I see the appeal of that, of course. Yeah. It wasn't football. It was some dude in the dark.
Yeah,
or whatever.
That as a communal thing seems fine, but I don't know. I just being raised around so much football culture growing up, I've seen a lot of toxicity.
Sure, and not only that, but it's like
not a fan.
If I wasn't good at it, I wasn't welcome there. Mm. I was like the butt of somebody's joke, or like someone to be looked down on.
Yeah,
like I just don't like your sport.
Yeah.
I don't like getting a concussion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think CT is a problem, and like that's what you talk about, the sinister aspects of it. They're literally getting these people they're making better padding, which is forcing bigger impacts.
It's like everything that we buy into on a national level is in some way just like it's really fucked up. Like, oh man. Like don't even get me started on like porn, like the porn.
Well, I was actually going to make a joke about porn. It was just like, what do you
mean? Games industry is shit right now, obviously. What else? Like
Well, industry is shit right now.
Yeah,
like there's what the fuck.
But even so, like I mean, there's just there's so much abuse and shit that goes around too in our fucking entertainment industries.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, well, here, look.
A whole other episode.
you gotta remember, like Sturgeon's revelation, Sturgeon's law applies. Like you can kind of map it onto almost anything. Mm. Like 90% of everything is trash.
Yeah.
But like the second part of that is, and again, you can map this onto anything. He's like, the best science fiction is as good as any fiction. Mm. So, there's going to be moments where like there's something good to be found in like the communal aspect of it. There are like a lot of really kind of inspiring stories where like a runner, isn't going to make it and the person could pass them, but instead picks them up and they cross together kind of stories. Like, and these things are weaponized. They are absolutely there to manipulate your fucking, experience.
Absolutely.
But they're not always a photo op, and sometimes you do see some real fucking sportsmanship. And that's the thing I kind of go for, the way people watch NASCAR for crashes. I'm always like, if I'm watching sports, I want to see people being not dicks to each other. Unless it's baseball, in which case I want to see bench clearing brawls every game, every inning, until they are down to the last 9-10 players per side. I absolutely love that shit because they're so bad at it. It's like Keystone Cops shit.
To your point, though, Shadow, the other side of circuses that we haven't even bitten into, and frankly don't have time to discuss is Hollywood and the other entertainments.
Yeah.
There's some like really jingoistic ass fucking movies that get slapped on to like they're usually on the service that's easiest to watch. CoinOps here. Yeah, it was at this point that Zencastr decided to not back up or record some of Shadowlink's audio. Basically, we were just continuing this tangent into how 90% of everything is shit. I made the comment that Hurt Locker I enjoyed, but I did not like Zero Dark 30. I thought it was extremely boring. We all kind of agreed on that. And then we went on to another tangent where we talked about how just fucking boring and phony reality TV is. You could draw your own parallels to what we were talking about. We're missing a third of it, so I don't know what the fuck. Anyhow, back to the show. Okay, so we were having a Zencastr issue, and it was saying that we weren't getting Shadowlink's recording. So there may be some really funny edits before these words that I'm speaking here.
Yeah, he might be there, he might not. We're not sure.
Yeah, I'll get some audio from him, where he says something funny, and we'll put it in. Anyway, then we find out that Zero is pretty much at the end of his notes. So this is the fun part of us riffing more.
Yes, the part where we spiral.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't know what else to say. Super Bowl, it was great. Whatever.
This comes back to fucking Fight Club so much because we're not. I mean, we are. We are in a fucking reality that is woven by fucking bread and circuses. Like it's all an illusion in some way or another. Everything's not as it fucking seems.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. And especially, But,
I'm not above it.
Talk a little bit
you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I was in a full theater for opening weekend second weekend of Godzilla -1. And it was just full of people who all walked out like they were all sniffling like they'd just been crying. Yeah. And I was too. We were all just like, holy shit, I can't believe that fucking movie. What the fuck? Didn't expect that. Yeah. We're all susceptible to it. But
you are not immune to propaganda. And
no.
And in some ways it's good, but the idea I think behind bread and circuses is that it's always being used as a distraction or as a way to manipulate people. That's the point of this is going back to aid washing, and I want to talk more about shit. I forgot what I wanted to talk about.
Think about it. You're right. Because on the other side of it, here's where it is. I think it's intent. Sometimes you have to fucking unplug. Yeah. Okay, you gotta pull out. You can't just expose yourself to news you're not experiencing.
If you are in a younger generation, your mind is warped and you're lost.
No, we all were. We all were. I got to watch Operation Desert Storm on TV, man. We were not okay.
Yeah.
It was all over after that.
Yeah, high school.
I want to talk about that for a second because we were discussing this in terms of kind of sports and aid washing and green washing, pink washing. When they do
fucking greenwashing. That's another one. This shit.
Many washings.
There's so many washings. But
it's such a great
the thing is up till then, it you kind of had to go to the movies or watch the news to kind of get any footage of, say, Vietnam or World War II. You had to see newsreels. Yeah. But when you were able to go home and cutting into primetime television, watch the first bombs fall on Baghdad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's when it became elevated to the level of the Super Bowl because it was a thing that literally everyone was watching.
And that's why we have it so much now. It's out of fucking control. Everything is serving a higher control structure in some way or another.
Yeah.
And it's that's
well, and you also have this like we have this fragmented society where not everyone has every streaming service, so everything is kind of partitioned.
But like, we are all like,
well, it's partitioned
it's
off.
So overgrown, to the
everybody
point
used to be able to talk about Seinfeld, say, okay, everybody used to be able to talk about it because you only had fucking 4 channels maybe in your town. Or more, who knows, depending on the size of your city. But like you always have your ABC, NBC, CBS, and then you're like local or the nearby.
But then you had also a more limited access to information like that kind of, and it was always going through a corporate entity.
You had a television bottleneck.
Yeah. So
or radio bottleneck.
It's good and bad in so many different ways. The way that the internet has destroyed us all.
Specifically and insidiously, going back to the Desert Storm example, not exactly pre-internet, but pre-internet warping society as much as it did. I remember going back looking at the coverage of all that shit. The way they had all the hottest bombs and jets, like all the specs on them, and all the generals and the staff and the people that they were the targets. And I remember looking back at that and thinking, this is like QVC. This is like Shopping Channel. They're showing off the fanciest fucking gear. It was like, it was
you too, so dude. That's when the Humvee became like. There was that asshole in town who had a Humvee, and I'm not talking like. Eventually what Hummer would make.
No, like the first ones.
Well, I'm talking about, it was just this big fucking paneled goddamn war Jeep.
This motherfucker that takes up almost, it goes over
2 parking spaces. Yeah. It takes more, it's wider than a lane, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was, but that was the thing. There was this commodification where that was the dream. So there was also the what was it, the Pepsi fucking bottle cap thing where the kid thought if he got enough of the things he'd be able to
Harrier jet.
Jet. It's a real fun documentary.
Marketing's gone wild.
Are you shitting me? There was always somebody was within it was the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You were 2 degrees away from a kid who had the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier. You always knew a friend who had it, and then you go and see the thing, and it's like, wow.
I was invited to play because I had a Sky Striker. I had one of the jets, so I was invited to go play.
Right.
With the aircraft carrier.
And that before Top Gun, that started my, kind of love of the F-14.
Yeah. Again, I was told that shit to everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was, man.
But not Iran. Dude. Not officially. Anyway, moving on.
Right.
Anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's baked into everything. Just the way that we weave these illusions through, and we're creating our own insular realities through all the things that we consume that have these more sinister, these ulterior motives.
Shit, I mean, look at the corporate involvement in fandom at this point.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it used to be a convention where you'd meet up with your friends once a year.
And again, I'm not immune to it either. I'm a porn addict, so I mean,
I like things. I keep on top of the news a lot, so I'm miserable most of the time. But sometimes I need to just unplug and listen to a fucking podcast and play some goddamn video games for an hour.
That is a necessary part, I think, of just being human in general. You need to have downtime because existing here is fucking horrible and and painful. And so there's
you got to find your
Williams,
where you can get
glass menagerie. That's what the glass menagerie is about. You need to kind of have some delusions in certain ways. And this is just how human beings work biologically. Is that it's the same as fucking rats. We're all rats, just pushing the fucking pleasure button instead of eating food. Because
that's why I want to really popularize things like, say, edging. Prolong the anticipation, in general. It's always better. I have a bit of a problem with that. When I'm planning on doing something and I'm excited about it, I can't do fucking shit else until that happens. I will. I do chores, I bathe myself. But like it's like the other stuff, like writing. No, that goes on
I
pause.
do. Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
like,
I do so much fucking distracting from even things that I used to really enjoy. Like, I mean, in fact, I'm doing better now, but like the weed thing got out of hand for a while. Oh,
yeah,
God.
it can. It can.
Because
I learned that
it's fucking depressing to live here, and going back to that too, like sports can be a communal thing. They can be like as shitty as it is. Like it can bring people together, but you know, it's when you grow it to a certain point. It's past a certain point, you know. It's just like everything under capitalism. It becomes a commodity, and it's all about money at that point. Then, and it doesn't. Nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you
everything.
Are you saying it's like an infection that's killing the host?
It's unsustainable.
No, and because everything that we consume, either as bread or as a circus, like it is designed to manipulate very biological things about us and shape us into these archetypes. And we're really leaning into like this singular archetype because the dumbest people on the planet are in control of this shit, and
you can't help how people take things. And sometimes like people, you get like a photogenic.
I know that sounded a little conspiracy theory-ish, but it's just I look at it more as an eldritch horror thing. It's the system itself is a fucking parasite.
Well, we haven't gotten past
it's designed to
the thing on TV is smart. The guy with money is smart and he knows all things. The guy who throws the ball good is smart and deserves to be listened to over experts. But
like we're also under delusions ourselves if we don't like all think that we're not addicted to something, because we all are. We really are, because that's how we work as people. We need certain things. It can be even fucking religion. It can be sports. It can be
well, that's the real bitch of being creative is that like you're gonna have your like passions, and sometimes you can steer those things into like work like that you want to do.
It can be celebrity gossip too. Fuck
yeah, but I'm talking about like the act of creation itself is fucking hard.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It takes time.
It takes a lot of energy, and the thing is,
and how our brain circuses are being
for a person like myself. Like I might have been useful, back in Paleolithic times, but like at this point, I'm useless. I'm an outdated model. Really. Yeah,
I mean, like,
well, that's really the only thing that I can do because I have to dissociate from real life.
Sure. Well, I mean, I lied to myself for fucking so long. I tried to do just like be a laborer and like just now. There was something to that though. When I was in college the first time, like right out of high school and stuff, I took a writing class and we had a diverse, age group. Mm-hmm. And there were like maybe 5-10 of us kids, and then like older folks who were just like taking classes, and it was really cool to like what I learned in that class, and why I dropped out was because I realized I didn't want an English degree. And these people were writing from experiences, and I barely could shit out of my shorts at this point in my life. Like I was just like, oh, I don't know anything. I shouldn't be here. Like I want to learn how to write, but I don't want to be that like kid who just like, this is important, like, no, I don't really have shit to say. Like it's the fucking, and it's like the beginning of the 90s. There's nothing going on except for like techno's blowing up for me. That's about it. And then I went and I did a bunch of shit instead of writing, and I did write the entire time, but like, it wasn't always like, I'm putting it somewhere. It wasn't that. It was just like, I got an idea for a story, and I get so far into it, and then I'd be like, oh, I got to go work a shift. Yeah. You do a bunch of different jobs, and you realize like, that's what informs your fucking art is like all the pain, all the fucking resistance, all the friction. Mm-hmm. That tells you who you are. How you stand up to it. Like, and you sometimes, God damn it, you got to watch a baseball game.
I watched the Black Mirror episode Men Against Fire again today, because that episode is really fucking relevant right now.
Which one?
Men Against Fire. That's the one with the augmented reality soldiers.
Yeah.
That was a rough one.
Yeah. It's kind of a hard watch, but not as though like goddamn, this probably sounds really fucking privileged. But, anyways, no, it.
So yeah, it's the capital D disassociation, capital C compartmentalization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, and that's how they get you, though. That's how they get you. You know, like I do every now and again. Like I wasn't going to watch the Super Bowl, but then I was like, hey, I'm done doing what I'm doing. I'll see what's going on with it. And then that's it. The next hour and a half, I'm like, this is entertaining. I'm liking this. These guys are doing good play calls. Like, I'm like, now I'm getting into it. Like, oh, who's that guy? Like,
right. there's a sort of primal appeal to sports in general, and like, I don't like. I'm not against that necessarily. But.
Well, I think on a larger aspect, there's something about watching people do something well.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate, like, you talk about FIFA. Let's talk about F1. Like F1's fucked. You need, like, your buy-in back in the day. I don't know what it is now, but back in the day, just to have a team was $100 million.
And see, I don't have that
Formula One easily. Yeah,
I don't have that synergy between my body and my brain. So I guess I can't appreciate it. But I can understand that on a certain level why that's appealing.
Mm-hmm. Sure, so. And like good form, and I feel great, but it just drives me nuts the amount of money that is pumped into this.
Oh yeah. That's where it gets fucked up, and I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, and oh god, fucking ads! Like it's just annoying now.
Oh,
like
the amount of time it takes to
it was
reset.
Always fucking annoying. What am I talking about?
The amount of time it takes to reset, like a change between downs in football. Is like 5 commercials or something, or like 2 really loud.
Also, there are way too many rules. There are too many rules.
How about there were so many years where like they didn't regulate the volume of your broadcast show and the commercials, so like a show would go to commercial and be loud as fuck.
Yeah.
At any time of night, like, and if you turned it down so that the commercial wasn't loud, it'd still be loud enough to wake up, whoever was sleeping.
That's
it was just.
Well, that's fucking like Fahrenheit 451.
No, bad enough. You're screaming at me to buy
fresh level of hell
something. You know what I mean? Like now you're really screaming at me.
That's the thing. Like you really like from sundown to sun up, from birth to death. You're just sold to like everything is selling something to you, and you just. I put up blinders to not like for the longest time. For the longest time when I lived with roommates, we didn't have any kind of streaming or broadcast. We pirated everything. We pirated everything, so we had no commercials for a period of about like 3 to 4 years. And when I moved out and started watching broadcast television again, it was like I was being hit again with something that I had no immunity to. So I had to buy subscription for YouTube and everything else just to have the privilege.
Well, now they're putting commercials. They're putting commercials back. You have to pay more money on Amazon.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
and it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. Like you've lost the plot, obviously. And to be honest, I don't watch much shit.
Nobody watches Amazon anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like in a really weird place where I'm just like spending more time kind of like dicking around with music and like playing.
Well, that'll happen. I mean, that's you shift from thing to thing. Sometimes you need to take things in, and sometimes you need to express.
For sure. And also going to see fucking Godzilla. There's like 40 minutes of goddamn ads. It used to be trailers. That's what I used to like the trailer portion. The trailers suck now. Trailers are just god awful because they're just like, this is what the movie's about. And we're not even going to guarantee that every line in this trailer is in the fucking movie.
3 old men yell at sky.
And you know what? I'm trying to think. I can't remember a single fucking trailer that I saw before Godzilla.
Yeah.
There wasn't one that like was like
anymore.
That's what's up. Like I can't wait to see that. That's all that. I don't know. Well, you know what? I think that we had a really big run with the fucking superhero circuses for a while. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think that shit's
we
burned
really
out.
did. Yeah, it's. I think it's dead. It sounds pretty dead at this point. Like,
yeah,
nobody really. It's the same fucking thing with like. westerns in the 50s. You know, they did the same thing. Action movies in the 80s. It's going to come around. It's going to come back around in 30 years.
You'll get somebody re-examining westerns, and then you get something good like Unforgiven, you know, and every now and again one will pop off, but there's nobody really kind of doing it anymore. You know, like,
well, when you oversaturate a market like that, I mean, and that's the point I wanted to make is that the more that we are like able to interconnectively like actually connect with one another through the internet and through our technology, like even the fucking telephone, you know, the more sophisticated that becomes, the more shit that they have to throw at us. And that's why everything gets so oversaturated. And
that's an awesome point for something that hasn't quite happened yet.
They exhaust us is what they do
with that shit. You know how I have that fucking like running theory that like the biggest thing that like we've been given by Silicon Valley, like this crop of them, has been just interference between the product and the customer.
Yeah.
And they keep doing it, and they keep trying to hammer it home with things like Meta, like the fucking metaverse and shit. And now this, like the Apple goggles. Like I listened to this podcast. Ed Zitron has this really fun new podcast.
They really want us to get into VR porn, guys.
Well, like here's the irony: like Apple doesn't have it. Apple doesn't even have like YouTube, as far as I know. Well, like that's the thing. Somebody's going to have to like figure out how to crack it in the whole 9 yards. But the fact of the matter is that like I didn't know a lot about it, and
days will happen.
Sounds like the thing isn't ready yet. It sounds like what it does is you're supposed to have one of the new phones first of all. That's your barrier to entry.
Yeah,
and the new phone will scan your head, and that'll send them when you order it the head size for like the light shield that is supposed to cut everything off.
Yeah,
and it's like no,
it's too complicated of a process.
And you should go get fitted
they keep
for
fucking
it.
Beta testing on us, like God damn it, just finish the fucking thing first, and then give it to us.
My God. Remember buying a video game and it lived or died based on whether it booted up when you got home?
Those were some good times. I fucking miss that shit.
I kind of do, man. I kind of fucking do. Because even when you buy a goddamn like disc, you know, like I have Ghost of Tsushima and I haven't played it. Like I played a little bit of it and I was just like, okay, I'm going to set this aside for like when I have the time and I'm, you know, focused on it.
Yeah. I'm not,
but it needs, you know, 70 gigs of your fucking hard drive. And I'm like, why do I have the disc? You know, like it's, I'm not like, why do I even need it anymore?
Hey, we got petabyte CDs now though.
I know.
Hey, fuck yeah. Crazy. CDs are making a comeback. I am stoked. Goddamn. I'm
actually really
I sound like a fucking millennial right now. God damn it.
I mean, anything that'll put like, you know, a physical thing back in my hand that I bought and it's mine. I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I fucking miss that. I have a collection of DVDs and I can't fucking play them because I don't have a goddamn player.
Right. You got to get some like a used ass like PS4 or something.
Yeah.
Just for the Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
But like, you know, cheap options exist. There are cheap, you know, players now for $30-$50. And
yeah, that's true.
It's nice that I'm starting to see this slight tide turn back toward like archiving shit. I'm really
because we're starting to fucking realize that we kind of need this shit. I mean, it's better than
I'm kind of regretting the shit I got rid of in Chicago. Man, I had boxes and boxes of fucking DVDs. I had Returner.
Well, sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes
I did. Yeah, you got to eat.
Yeah, you got and
everything's streaming at that time.
Too, but like I just got rid of the town today because I didn't realize that I had still had it, and I was like, wow, fuck this movie. God damn.
I've been there. I had a few of those. But you know, it's and here we are still talking about like this is our circus. This is my circus.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. None of us are fucking immune. Like I said, I'm a rat. I'm a rat pressing that button constantly. God. I have to distract myself from reality because I can't deal with it half of the time.
I think it's why we sleep. Is so that the brain can just like work out the shit it's been figuring out in the background the whole time, you know? That's when you get like, oh, I can smell the air on Mars dreams.
My brain doesn't do that, unfortunately.
Well, no, I smoke too much weed usually, but sometimes.
No, it's not even that. It's just, man, I just don't sleep.
Yeah.
I know I have dreams, and they're all pretty interesting. Like I could probably write apart some pretty good elevator pictures of screenplays off of my dreams, but I just don't remember them after 2 minutes.
Gotta get into either like start writing them down right after you wake up, or I think that's the key to lucid dreaming there. Actually,
maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like I just think it's like
I am a fantastic composer when I'm dreaming. Apparently,
no, I'm good at all kinds of shit when I'm dreaming, but like, but that's never the point of my dreams. My dreams are always like these weird fucking scenes.
Hey, do you guys know that? Who was it? That guy who wanted to fucking make the Hypnospace headband in real life?
Yeah.
Oh man.
What? No. Like you could work in your dreams. Like go fuck yourself. Get out of here.
Oh god. Yeah.
Listen, look. I have a very low tolerance for these, like, say, even video games that are like just jobs.
It's not even that. It's just like I know
like, that Bus Driver 2024, and then like all the DLC is just different routes and stuff. It's like no, I don't want to like. That's why I like crafting and stuff. No, I came here to just not make sense for a minute. I don't need to do the thing I do all day. I don't need to come here.
How long is it going to be before they start advertising to you through that too? I don't want them directly beaming into my head. Like,
God, no.
I have enough difficulty with the like manual download of visual contact.
I don't know what maybe a year or two ago, the last time I downloaded whatever is the most recent incarnation of The Sims, and I was like, I don't want to have to like wipe my ass when I shit. It was just the most minutia, and I was like, this isn't fun to play. I don't want
even Detroit Beyond Human.
Yeah. I have problems. I will say that. I really like it.
Yeah, but it's like being made, and I'm like, no.
People do really
if you
like
get past that level,
life.
Everything gets so much better. Trust me, if you get past the level, you have to act like a maid for 20 minutes or whatever. It's a great game. I highly recommend it.
It's crazy because I went from 0 to screaming white hot rage at David Cage in the course of the 4 minutes that took. I think I did get past it, but I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to go through the multiple endings.
There are no more like that. I went back and played for a couple of different. I did one where like spoiler. One where like I love humanity and I try to save them. Another one where I just like I hate them and went on a genocide. Excuse me, a hard G.
Well, and I think in the defense of The Sims and like Second Life and that kind of thing, there's
where we are now.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it myself, but I actually really don't know if it's like on the same level as, I don't know. It is a little sad to me in a way because it's like you're trying to digitally enact your dream life essentially, or you are a mad god and a psychopath, and you decide to murder all of your inhabitants.
Well, I mean, we all have, like, we all need our escapisms. It's just, do you seek it out because it trips your triggers, or is it presented in front of you in 4K screaming surround sound?
What are you getting out of it?
I think the thing with me in sports is that, like, I just wanted to stop hinging my happiness based upon the performance of people I don't know personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds fucked up and nerdy, but like it's true. It's just like, man, wow, the Browns lose all the time. I think I would rather just like not worry about it.
Yeah.
And when they left the first time, I was presented my opportunity. So now, I check in every now and again. It's a thing I can touch base on with my brother and my dad. But it's not like I'm following it. It's usually my brother will text me about week 8 or 9, like, hey, they're like over 500. And I'm like, what? And he's like, they might go to the playoffs. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep not watching them. Mostly because that's the jinx. If I watch them, they'll start sucking.
And they won't.
It's and that's what you get from sports are superstitions. So, but yeah, no, that's just kind of that's.
I wanted to talk a little bit. Do we have time for that?
We got a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about like go back to bread. We've talked a lot about circuses, but we haven't talked a lot about bread. And like aid washing and greenwashing and shit like that. Like, because that's the other side of the coin. Man, Altered Carbon has this scene that sums this whole thing up where this trillionaire meth dude, but they call him meths, not like a
Methuselah,
yeah, goes into like this impoverished ghetto where there are people quarantined because they have this virus, and so he goes in there and he acts, very like, Christ-like in his way, and the main character points out that it's theater.
Mm-hmm.
He goes down there and he dies, and then he's raised back in another body.
Mm-hmm.
He has a backup, and he can do this as many times as he wants. And he probably looks like a god to them,
right? Yeah,
and that's the sinister part about fucking like aid washing and like.
Well, it's like anytime like a president would go to a disaster zone. It's like on one hand, it's like you're expected to do that, but on the other hand, it's like it's a photo op.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about fucking image, and some people just don't see that. It's just sucked into it.
We can't all be Trump, like fucking 3-point shotting paper towels to people after their country or like their state was destroyed by a fucking hurricane.
God.
Oh man, Jimmy Carter at least built houses. Fucking, it's
yeah.
I mean.
And God, when you learn so much about fucking charity in this country too, it's not even. Half the time it doesn't even go to the people that they're fucking talking about. Oh, remember the Joseph Kony shit?
Yeah,
I fucking hated that. I was like, this is not going to go anywhere. This is going to go into the pockets of really shitty people.
Well, I mean, these big companies, when they ask you to round up to the nearest dollar, they've already.
Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that?
I never. Did that.
But here's the thing: they've already made their tax deductible donation. And then this is how they recover the cost.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you hear about these CEOs of these giant charities, and you hear that they get like millions of dollars.
So like act locally, all right?
Yeah.
Wealth
buy
shelters,
independent.
Really?
Yeah.
Becoming more and more wealth shelters to increase inequality rather than
give a homeless person like $10.
Hold on a second.
Sorry.
Zero's real quiet, but I can hear him. Yeah. What was that, Zero?
More and more they serve as wealth shelters. They're not really trying to eradicate the problems they propose to help solve.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's there's no substance to it, and that's just with like it's like our food and shit. Like our literal bread is. That's why it's called bread. Is because it's not everything that you need. You need it's other shit in your diet.
Let's talk about the state of bread real quick, and then we'll close this out. Okay, so not that long ago, I did go to a McDonald's and have a double Big Mac, and it was shitty because they're trying to do this thing where they're like, hey, our food is shitty, let's make it better, and this is how we'll showcase it. We'll give you an extra fucking hamburger patty on each level, so you have 4 patties on this thing, and because we want to really showcase the flavor of our meat, and it just tastes like wet scab.
Thanks.
I ate the whole thing. I was hungry. But I mean, as far as food units go, it's literally one of the worst things I've ever had since the days of the McDLT and the McPizza. Yes, I did have a McPizza when I was a child, and it was bad.
I wanted to also bring up like fucking Republicans always run on the fucking idea that they're going to lower taxes and shit. Yeah, that never fucking happens.
Oh no, they do lower taxes, just not for
you.
Not for you and me.
Right.
Yeah. Or like sales, like things that businesses do that try to like ingratiate you to them, and like it's not fucking working anymore because everything that they do is like dog shit. But like loyalty programs and shit like that, stimulus checks, and
God, don't you remember the beginning of the
cards and
shit beginning of the fucking plague? Every goddamn commercial you saw for like a month was just like, in times like these, we all need to come together. Like everyone. And then he had like Gal Gadot trying to sing Imagine with a bunch of well-intentioned fools. It was just, everything is just all about this now. Like this branding. You got to be a brand.
Yeah.
Like you forget you're a person and you're temporary. And everybody, like Neil Gaiman says, everybody gets the same thing. A lifetime. However long or fucking short it is. Like that's all you get.
Yeah. The one commercial says, let's all band together in times of need, and then the very next commercial, Gold is the most stable asset in your portfolio.
And then some large truck commercial.
Here's how you can get ahead. That's a lot of what we offer too. I think the competitive shit. God. Yeah.
I like that I have a dent on my car. It lets me go places unimpeded. Like no one's gonna steal that. It's like having a tattoo, on a body. It's like, no, we're not. That's too. No, there's pictures of that. Like I'm not gonna fuck with that. I do like getting people driving up to me in parking lots, being like, "Yo, man, you want me to pull that out for you, like right here?" And they have a truck with all the equipment. Like, I'm like, I'm thinking about it. Like, I respect that hustle, sir. I'll take your card though. Then I'll meet you at some other parking lot because I don't want you coming to my house. I don't know you. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think we got it. You think that's there's so much more to say about this too, but I mean, I guess the idea is, take your joy on your terms. And if they happen to coincide with like a sporting event or a movie or something like that, yeah, just don't forget yourself.
Yeah, we don't want a buzzkill and say that something that people enjoy shouldn't be, something that you can enjoy or you can get into, but just be aware, I guess.
We're not here to yuck yums.
Be aware what.
Although yucking your yums is a term, I will yuck your yums on that.
Be aware what some of these things may be obfuscating. So be aware that your yum may be yucked if you look at peel back the surface.
Exactly. And know that all of your yums are yucked. I have friends.
There is no ethical consumerism underneath capitalism. God, we didn't talk nearly enough about.
I mean, we all try.
Well, that's a 4-part series that will have to come in the year 2020.
God, I wish Scum was here.
Raytheon.
I wish Scum was here. We could riff more about Fight Club, but I think.
Oh, for sure. But wow. So. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm just going to go listen to a podcast and play Battlefield.
Yeah, let's go dissociate. Let's go forget
all the
horrible shit in the world.
If I could do that, I would watch more football. If I could, so back in the day, all right.
I was going to say,
final anecdote. Back in the day, when I was like, we'd sit in the back of the garage where Dad had like a little tiny machine shop. He had like a drill press and a mill, saw, and sometimes we'd just sit back there because it was insulated and cool. And we'd watch football games or baseball games or something on like a black and white TV. We're talking like a 10-inch, like not big. But then we'd switch the audio. We'd have a radio on. We'd turn the audio down on the TV and then turn on the radio. Because the radio announcers blew the TV announcers out of the fucking water. And that wouldn't go to commercial. These guys would still be sitting there being like, yep, he's trying to pull the crease out of his fucking taint. And, like they just keep talking about shit. And they didn't have like all these
within FCC regulations.
Yeah, no, but they'd be funny. The guys from, I can't remember their names now, but like there were these two dudes from Cleveland. They were fucking hilarious. They were really good at it. They made a lot of local jokes that were cool, and it was just like, I dig this. This is fun.
Yeah.
What I wish I could do is like, because we have we had multi-screen stuff all the time, just put the game on, but let me watch like a live feed of like in the side, the other side, the half the screen of something I'm interested in. So I could just kind of have the game on. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to ever hear Chris Collinsworth's voice again.
Yeah.
but let me watch something like news or like someone who's doing on the ground reporting, like Unicorn Ride or something in the meantime. And I don't feel like being techie enough to hook that up on my own. It should just be an option. They have all these fucking streaming services. I should be able to watch 2 or 3 of them at a time for the fucking money they cost. But
I mean, they had that thing for a while where your TV could have little TVs inside of it, but I don't know if you could switch between like a streaming service in one window and like for channels.
They stopped making those because someone fed one after midnight and it multiplied. Anyhow. Or got water on it. I don't remember how that's supposed to work. This is it. That's the episode. Awesome dismount, guys. Fucking
find the Discord, find the Patreon,
Olympics, Olympics reference, full circle. Yeah.
More like Waterboy. Heyo. No. By
Like
now,
boarding at this point.
So by now, neondystopia.com should exist, and there will be some of Shadowlink's writing, including the wonderful beginner's guide to cyberpunk.
By the time this reaches your ears,
yes, hopefully, or you're just hearing about it, and in a few hours it'll be happening. So come to the Discord and check that out. We also have the Discord. We have, as we said at the beginning, we have a go to patreon.com/neondystopia and check it out. Everybody from the we're going to be doing these polls for how to compose an episode. You get to influence how an episode is made, and we're in the midst right now of working on the first one about a deep dive into the telephone that Xero will be hosting.
Can puppet our very actions and intentions.
Yeah. So like if you want to kick us a buck, that helps us keep the lights on. If you go from the $5 and up range, it'll let you vote in the polls. All content is going to remain free. Like everything we put out, you'll still be able to listen to. We're not putting any of that behind a paywall. Let's see what else. Yeah, we're on Instagram, I guess. Kind of. We're not going to clog your fucking feed on the socials. I'll tell you that right now.
Really, just come to the Discord.
Just come to the Discord. That's where we're most active. We spend most of our time.
Yeah.
Join us.
We'd love to see you guys.
I'm on Blue Sky, so at CoinOps on Blue Sky. Check me out. It's fun. I don't do anything there either. But post about this shit. So enjoy your bread and circuses.